What's up, Basketball Brain fans and members? Today I want to talk about change versus transformation. Now, a change is something that you just do on the surface. Let's say you stop eating sugar or something. That's definitely a good thing to change. But if you haven't transformed your identity from someone who will be healthy no matter what they do, you'll likely revert back to your old ways. Changes are mostly temporary, but a transformation can last forever. This is because a change is often intellectual, merely psychological, and has a very short lifespan. You need a transformation in your spirit, let's say, like the core of yourself, and then from that level, your thoughts and your feelings can then be different. So your soul is the source of your thoughts and feelings, let's say, your spirit, your soul, the core of you. When that's different than what it is right now, your behaviors naturally change. So if you can change who you are at your deepest levels, everything else will change more effortlessly. People we might call average or below average, they always talk about changing something. I must change my life. I must do this. I must do that. As if the external circumstances have to be altered. Rare people go to a much, much deeper level. They think they have to change, and then the world around them will start to change. The question then becomes, how do we go from someone saying, I must work out more, into the type of person who says, I am a person who will never miss a workout ever. It's very different. One surface level where you're saying, I must go work out, but it's not the core of who you are. It's not an I am. I am a person who will never miss a workout. If I say I'm going to work out at 5 a.m. every day, I'm going to do it. I often tell the story of I was in a blizzard one night in New York City. I was in the park riding my bike around. So it's something I like to do when a blizzard's hitting the city, sneak into Central Park. You're not supposed to be there and go on a bike ride because the roads don't really cover with snow too bad at first, so you can kind of get going. The ice comes quick, so it's a little bit dangerous. But I remember one night, I was the only person in the park. And it's really cool. The snow's coming in. It's like the wind's blowing sideways. And I'm going around this big loop in Central Park. And I stopped for a second because my eyelids, I swear to you, my eyelids literally were frozen shut. I blinked once and I couldn't open them. So I'm like careening down this hill in Central Park and I can't see and it's starting to get icy. Somehow I pull the bike over and I literally had to pry my eyes open. Your eyes don't have like great muscles, I found. It was hard to open them. Anyways, there was ice everywhere and I finally could see and I was sitting there and I was just kind of looking at. It was beautiful, you know, all of the snow and falling and being alone in a big city. It's a cool feeling. And then all of a sudden, I start hearing footsteps, fast footsteps, or relatively fast. And I turn, and from a side path coming up this hill, so I couldn't see at first, a guy comes, and I'm telling you, it's freezing cold. I just told you my eyelids were fastened shut by ice. And it's an old man, I'm talking in his 70s, and he's in shorts, running shoes, and maybe 2 sweatshirts, okay? He has some gloves on, and he has one of those big, you know, those old timers who wear the headsets that are radios, you know, so he's listening to the radio, and he's running through the park, and we looked at each other just for a split second and sort of nodded in recognition. Because rare people do rare things at rare times. And you could tell, I knew, we never talked about that, I never said a word to this guy, but I knew his core belief was, I will never miss a workout. I will never miss my run. That's who I am. I am the type of person who does not miss their workouts. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. Now, if he was merely, you know, a few years ago said, I'm going to change my life, he wouldn't be out in this blizzard running. At some point in his life, he made a transformation of his self at the most fundamental level of his being, let's say, that's who he was. And then when that happens, again, it's natural, it's somewhat effortless to go out there. Some days you have to use a little psychological willpower to, you know, jumpstart yourself, but it doesn't, you have to do it. That's who you are. It would be a violation of who you are if you don't go do what you said you were going to do. For instance, would you ever harm your mother? No, it's not it's not even thinkable. You could not do it, right? Or whoever takes care of you. You can't harm that person. It's out of the realm of possibility because that's not who you are. And you got to get to that level with things you care about in your life, with your dreams and the actions and practices it'll take to achieve those dreams. You have to transform yourself at the most fundamental level. I remember when I stopped eating red meat. It was July 4th, 1999, and I had decided that meat wasn't going to be part of my life. And in that moment, we were at a barbecue with my family, and my family's big meat eaters. And I remember my dad saying, oh, you're never going to stop eating meat. Our family eats meat. And I remember thinking, no, that's not who I am anymore. I'm not going to eat, and I've never eaten red meat since. In that moment, I made this radical transformation at the core of my being that I would not do that. And it's almost getting on 20 years, I haven't had any red meat. Sometimes things line up like that, and you're able to make that transformation in a moment. Sadly, most people don't transform until something awful happens in their life. I see it constantly. You lose someone in a relationship, and then you realize who you are at your core is not compatible with keeping someone you love around. You realize you have to transform. You can't just change one little behavior. Average people, when things go wrong, sometimes just look for one little area when in their heart they know they need to change who they are at a very profound level. A transformation means every system in you has major alterations, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, and of course behaviorally. This can sometimes happen very quickly. I've seen people shift their identity overnight. Often it comes from a terrible, painful experience. Some people crumble after a painful experience. I see athletes or business people who have a terrible outing, a terrible meeting, a terrible interview, and that's it. They formed an idea in their head that that's who they are, someone who can't perform in key moments, and they're never the same. Other people hit that moment and they realize, I have to make radical changes in who I am. But the question then becomes, how do I transform into a new person without having to wait on something bad to happen to me? Well, that's not fun to do. And again, you want to take control of your own destiny. So how do we transform ourselves? The best way that I know how to do it is that we look at our beliefs versus the beliefs of people who we would most like to be like, the people that we idolize, who we think have their stuff together in whatever field we're going into. We study them. We try to find out what's different about the way they believe. So that's one way to do it. Find great people, great leaders, and adopt their beliefs. I'm a major proponent of finding successful people and really copying their recipes and cooking those recipes for your own life. But I think a more effective way is to go inside yourself and find your own limiting beliefs. And then there's a very simple way to transform those beliefs into the beliefs of a rare person. Maybe you quit when things get tough. And if you dig deep, you may find the belief is, I don't like being uncomfortable. That is, you need to start to notice that ticklish avoidance you feel as things get difficult in a workout or in anything you're going to do. Maybe you look at something and you say, oh my God, it's going to take me 10 months to get better at this. I don't think it's worth it. I don't want to do it. And it's not you talking, it's your beliefs talking. You have a belief, I don't want to be uncomfortable. And it's uncomfortable to think of putting in that much time. Or how about when you think about your goals and you get excited or inspired for a moment or a few days, but then the excitement and the motivation passes within a week. If you dig deep, there might be a belief there that says, I'm scared of the unknown. At least I know if I don't do anything to improve, then I can predict the future. A future in which I'll be at least theoretically safe. You can often catch your bad beliefs by paying attention to your feelings. You'll find this feeling that you want to be safe, for instance. And safety is found in not doing anything daring. There's a part of your mind that wants to keep you isolated, secluded, sort of like a king who tries to keep his daughter, his princess, from the realities of the world. It doesn't work in one sense because you can't keep the realities of the world away. And in the second sense, like, you're not going to be safe if you don't do anything. You're still in danger. And also, how terrible it is if that belief does work, if the king does shield his princess from the world. You don't want that experience of life. And you know this, don't you? Like, as you get older, it's a little annoying when your mother still sort of babies you. It's like, get away, I want to go out on my own. So there's a part of you that already knows what it feels like to get away from that fear of the unknown, to want to welcome it into your life, to explore it and see what you're made of. You can build on that. So when you actually find these limiting beliefs, these poor beliefs, these average beliefs, what do you do with it? Because it's one thing to say you need to change your beliefs. It's another thing to actually give you steps and ways to do it. I have a major problem with a lot of motivational talks because what they do is they inspire you, but then they give you no concrete steps that have been tested. A lot of motivational talkers will just sort of sit down and abstractly come up with a few steps for you to do. They've never actually tried it to see if it works. Everything I give you, I definitely test, and I've tested with others, so I know it works. So here we really have a 3-step process. Number 1, you've already done it. It's find your limiting beliefs. Be aware, conscious of times you feel weak or something that doesn't make you feel strong. Find that belief. Second, do what rare people do, and that is state the opposite. State the opposite. That's all you got to do. Find the belief and state the exact opposite of that belief. And number 3 is do it until you have transformed yourself, until it becomes part of who you are. So a rare person might say to themselves, I love the unknown. I know if I do everything I can to improve, I will experience a fantastic future. That's in contradistinction to the belief I just mentioned above, which is I'm scared of the unknown. At least I know if I don't do anything to improve, then I can predict the future, and that'll keep me safe. Rare people state the opposite of those beliefs. That's what they believe about themselves, and it's not just a verbalization. It's who they are. They may not even have words for it, but they know that's who they are at their core. When your beliefs really get strong, you no longer have to verbally express them. They just become who you are. Like the old guy in the park running during the blizzard, he's not telling himself that's who he is. It's who he is at such a profound level. It's pre-verbal. But when you're trying to transform yourself without some calamity, you've got to use your words. You've got to use your emotions. You've got to use your body language. You must start to inundate yourself with this new belief. And listen, you cannot just do this abstractly. When we talk about finding a limiting belief and transforming it into its opposite, it is useful. It is useful in the morning to go through your beliefs and restate them. But the most powerful way to do it is to place those beliefs in the context in which you need to activate them. In other words, you have to do it in the moment you catch that limiting belief, that poor belief. So let's say you're in a workout and your trainer is making you run extraordinarily hard sprints, and you have that feeling where you go, I can't do this anymore. It's a feeling. You don't typically verbalize it, but you feel uncomfortable and you feel that like you just want to quit. It's, you want to go home, you think you've done enough. In that moment, go, aha, I found that belief. That uncomfortable feeling is a sort of tell that gives the belief away. And in that moment, in the moment in which the belief is activated, you have to counteract it in that precise instant. So verbalize it when you feel like I can't do anymore. Start to say to yourself, I love being uncomfortable. I can do more. Do that, and then do more. Actually run more. Do more than you think you can do. Tiger Woods, when he was working out, used to always say 4 more. We can always do 4 more reps. And 4 was a par, so he'd always do 4 more reps when he got really tired. You don't want to do this to the point of, you're going crazy with yourself. There's still wisdom here. The aim is to dig deeper and to get more out of yourself than you think is currently possible. The Marines often say you got 40% more in you than you think. And that's a good number to aim for. When you think you've hit your max, you can go 40% more. If you do that enough times in every instance of your life where you catch a limiting belief and you start to counteract it, you eventually start to transform yourself at deep, deep levels. And that is far more powerful than deciding to make a fleeting change in a moment. You have to be consciously aware of what your beliefs are and make alterations as you go through your day. This is Dylan from Basketball Brain. If you want the full Basketball Brain program, go to basketballbrain.com. It will not just change you, it will transform you. So check it out. Basketballbrain@gmail.com if you have any questions. We are dedicated to your greatness.